This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country.
Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First it was rice, tobacco, sugar cane.
Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king. And we were its soldiers,
4 million strong,
fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves.
This is Ultra Izzy.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're going to discuss Disney Plus. So a lot of people on Twitter and other social media have been really talking about this new show they put out called The Proud Family. It is a reboot. I guess they put it out a while back and decided to bring it back. And they've been getting, I guess, some headlines, some negative press because there's a lot of anti-white language used in the show. You guys can, it's otherwise known as racism towards white people, but you guys probably don't hear that too often. And again, I'm not taking a stance just solely for white people. I would honestly be making this video for every ethnicity. It's just, it seems to me that lately here, the target has been white people. And like I said, Disney Plus is at it again with their wokeness and decided to make a lot of, I don't know, there's a few episodes that I got my eyes on, and they decided to take on interracial dating.
The only reason he asked her out is because she's white. That's not true!
Oh, yes, it is true. Right, Maya?
Yup, my cousin said Noah's favorite chocolate is white. No swirls.
You're all just jealous that Noah asked me out and not you. It has nothing to do with me being white chocolate. Not that a person can be white chocolate. It has everything to do with you.
Okay,
I don't know why
guys,
you can't.
He admitted he only dates white girls. And I told him I couldn't be around anyone like that. Especially when it hurts my friends.
White privilege.
You're gonna arrest our baby. Do something with your white privilege.
Protesting, kind of like Antifa or Black Lives Matter does.
Christian A. Smith, his legacy is a myth. Christian A. Smith, his legacy. Why are you in riot gear? We don't see no riot here. Come on, y'all. Here come Wizard Kelly and his goons. Penny, stand your ground.
Why are you in riot gear? We don't see no riot.
And something new I haven't heard that much of called white fragility.
You understand love, don't you?
No, I do not understand anything about white fragility.
White fragility? What's that supposed to mean?
You know what it means. You're doing it right now.
Doing what?
Being defensive about race. Robin DiAngelo wrote a whole book about it.
So this kids show, this show for children, decides to take on all these topics, and from the clips that we just saw, I did not like the context of which they were in. It sounds very divisive. It sounds like they did it on purpose. It sounds like they're trying to stoke the flames of racism. Like every time racism might be dying down or whatever you want to call it. Like to me, I think that, I think America's great. Yes, you're going to have your one-offs here and there. But I think the media really really makes things that aren't racist to be racist. I think pop culture does it. Sports does it. They're just perpetuating this idea that there's like racism everywhere when most people that I know who are black, and I can talk to other ethnicities too, they tell me it's not as bad as they make it seem. So it's like they're just trying to really keep this thing going for either ratings. But just on the surface level, when it comes to this, I will say it's just really divisive. And I know that Hollywood, sports, all these different organizations make money off of keeping racism alive, or the idea of racism. The victimhood mentality has become strong in this country over the last maybe 10 years. And that's not on accident, by the way. I really didn't start seeing a lot of this even more until, I don't know, maybe 2010. I could be wrong about that. I'm sure it's been around for a while. So in May 2022, they lost $63 billion in market capitalization. Whenever Ron DeSantis put out the Don't Say Gay bill, which had nothing to do with that, the left really came out in droves and really protested it. And all the Don't Say Gay bill had to do was with don't show LGBTQ like sexual stuff to minors. Like I think it was like 5 years old, maybe 7, something like that. I mean, and that goes for straight, straight sexual whatever stuff too. I'm not just talking about one side. And this is where they got it wrong. I think they really just made themselves a victim in all this. And it turns out you're actually helping kids. For them to protest something like that was ridiculous, and it really exposed who they were and what their where their allegiances were, or the fact that they just didn't read the bill and didn't care about what it said. They're all a bunch of Muppets and they just say what everyone else says. Could be that too. But anyway, Disney was one of the biggest proponents of this. They were opposing the don't say gay bill, if you want to call it that. So once people got wind of that, people started jumping ship on Disney. A lot of people did, and they lost a bunch of money, capitalization, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so that was a pretty big deal. But I guess they decided to double down with the Proud Family because they're putting a lot of these messages on here. And, and I would say, that I would just say, hey, it's just, hey, there's other shows that have been like this in the past. You get your Fresh Prince, you get these other shows. And honestly, I was a lot younger when those shows came out. I don't know if they were on a streaming plus service directed only towards kids to have these messages, because I think that Fresh Prince was more for high school, maybe to adults. But you guys can make that argument in the comments. But I could try to be devil's advocate and be like, oh guys, I think we're just making a big deal out of this. It's not a big deal. This happens, every generation has their shows like this. Maybe, but it wasn't until I saw a Disney executive. I believe her name is LaToya Revenue, and she came out and was caught on I guess she was having a meeting with someone, and she actually said that they're trying to insert queerness into their programs.
Watching, all of the classics, they have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, oh, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard on my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel I felt it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they're turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm Proud Family. But I just was no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
And the executive at Disney really did remind me of what just happened with the show, The Last of Us. I made a video on that a few videos back, how their director said they wanted to trick the viewer into watching a gay love story. So it seems that these people have to quietly insert or quietly, trick people into watching queer ideas or just whatever, gay love stories, whatever you guys want to call them. If it's so innocent and if it's so, oh, it's not a big deal, it's a nothing burger, then why do you have to deceive people to put that stuff into the programs? Why do you have to trick? Why do you have to insert queerness into, it's I get it if it was maybe an adult show. I get it. I remember hearing, I think the producer of the show Friends, she's woke, and she, it was the 90s, late 90s, and it was getting more woke by then. But she was saying that she wanted to insert more queerness into the show and have more diverse, characters. And then the show Will and Grace came out around the same time. It's not the worst thing in the world if you do it to adults, I guess. It's because, adults can make a rational, sound decisions to keep watching the show or not. But when you involve children and you're trying to trick children or whatever you want to call it, insert queerness into their shows, that just shows malintent. It shows you're trying to deceive people. You're trying to insert an agenda into programs for children. And honestly, I wouldn't let my kids watch this show. White fragility, white privilege. What are you guys talking about? These are little kids. All they're doing is dividing people. You're going to have little kids saying these terms in their schools to other white children, and little white kids are gonna be like, whoa, what's going on? What did I do? What happened? And it turns into them, white people apologizing for something that they didn't have anything to do with, right? Slavery was like 150 years ago, however long ago it was. Nobody I know and nobody's parents of the people that I know and their parents probably weren't slaves. So it's people are gonna stop having to use that as a crutch, and we need to move forward and pass all this crap. And I do think that Disney is not helping. I think Disney is making it worse. So, I don't know what's going to happen with Disney, but I do know that they already lost a bunch of money. And I think since they're doubling down, they're going to keep losing money. And you guys can, you guys out there can, watch whatever you want. It's up to you guys, obviously, to decide what your kids should watch. But as for me and my household, it's not going to happen. I don't like these messages, especially when they come out and admit it. That's the worst. When they come out and tell the masses, hey, this is what we're doing. It's weird. It's deceptive. I don't like it. It doesn't feel right. It feels like you're trying to brainwash people with an agenda, and I'm not going to stand for it. And this is why I made this video. You guys can make any decisions you want. It's your family. It's your friends. It's your household. But I will say there's something more going on behind this, and you guys should start asking more questions, or just if you guys obviously hurt them at their purse strings. If you don't feel like this is something you want, just stop watching them. Cut your ties with them. You can find other shows for your kids to watch. I'm a little concerned for where this stuff is going. Like people are taking advantage of the fact that we're free, and they're taking our freedoms and they're turning them into some directions that we as Americans don't really want. And I'm sure some people want to hear that stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's an audience for everything out there, but the majority, the masses, I don't think so. And we'll see soon what happens with Disney, if they're going to go woke. Or go broke again if they keep going woke, if they're going to keep going broke. Guys. So what do you guys think about the Proud Family? Do you guys think that I'm kind of making a big deal out of nothing? Do you guys think the show's innocent? There's no hidden agendas in there or anything like that? Is it a big nothing burger? Or do you guys think that, I might be onto something and that there is something more going on, that there is more of an agenda being pushed to our children? Again, when it comes to adults, adults can make their own decisions. But when it comes to the kids, they're crossing the line. I mean, I'm going to have a couple more videos about how people are really crossing the line with children, and they're starting to push their limits, and the people are going to start pushing back, and they're going to see it in their bottom line. So guys, again, thanks again to all my new subscribers. Thanks for watching this channel. Please click that like button to get this video recommended to others. Please click the notification button. That way you guys can stay up to date on all the new videos I put out. Please hit the subscribe button. That's important. I'd love to keep the channel growing. Again, like I said before, if the channel ends up kind of going downhill, then I'll just, I don't have to keep making content. You guys can just follow me on Twitter, Ultra Izzy, and you guys can see my ideas and thoughts on there. But until the next video, you guys stay fearless and stay free. I'll see you guys on the next one.